You're in Argentina right now. You don't speak Spanish. You didn't even know that in Argentina nobody would speak English. And you have to have a life here. You have to stay here for a long time, 1, 3, 4, 6 months or even more. And you don't even speak a little Spanish. So now, what can you do? You are already here. You have to go out. You have to speak with people. You have to start new relationships. You have to meet new people. You have to meet relatives, friends. You have to work here. You have to live a normal life here. What should you focus on first? In Spanish. So in this video, you will learn everything that you need to focus on to learn Spanish, to focus on to learn Argentinian Spanish and to start a life, a business, or just casual trips here in Argentina. So if you're ready, señor, señora, vamos a empezar. Let's start. First of all, I will be very straight with you and I will tell you that you haven't made the best decision. Before you come in here, you should have learned Spanish at least to a basic level where you can at least travel and manage yourself just with your Spanish. If you stay here, nobody speaks English. Imagine you're in China and everyone is a Chinese people that does not know any word in English. It is exactly the same, pretty much the same, I would say. So now that you're here, you have to stay for a long time. You wouldn't like to go crazy just because nobody speaks English. So you have to speak Spanish. It doesn't matter if you don't like it. It doesn't matter if you are a lazy person. It doesn't matter if you think that you're not intelligent enough. It doesn't matter anything. Here you have no excuses. If you're here, you have to speak with people in Spanish, okay? So the first key that you have to keep on your mind, that you have to bear on your mind, is to find a guide. As you are a beginner, you don't know anything. So you must focus on the basics first of all. So how can you do that? Well, first, you need 3 things, or at least you need 1 or 2 of these 3 things. The first is to have a book with all the basics where you can read, practice them, understand the logic. Second, you have to find a course online where you can practice your Spanish, where you can learn all the basics, the same as in the book, but in videos on YouTube, okay? And the third, and I think the most important one, to have a teacher, to have someone who can actually teach you everything, and you can ask him all the questions, ask him everything about Argentinian Spanish, everything about it in Spanish in general. So you must have at least one of these 3 options, okay? Because you need a guide, you need a teacher, you need someone, something, a tool, anything that can actually help you to start with your first steps. And I personally think, and in my experience and working with many people like you, I think that the best option is to have these 3 videos on YouTube where you can watch it on your free time or work on them and practice your Spanish, practice your listening, learning new stuff, learning new vocabulary. And the most important part, that if you would not have one of the first 2 ones, you have to have a teacher. Why? Because a teacher is someone who is prepared to help you and will make you everything much faster than if you do it alone. Because on my personal experience, when I learned English 5, 6 years ago, I did it on myself. But I had so many mistakes that I could have learned English in just 3, 6 months to a very high level where I can at least communicate myself on traveling situations. But I did not have any teacher. It took me over 1 year to start having basic conversation. So I wasted more or less a year to have this basic conversation that I could have spoken much better if I just had a teacher or someone who can help me with all of this stuff. So you do not have a year or 2 to start having basic conversation in Spanish. Why? Because you're here in Argentina right now and you have to speak right now. Not in 2 years, not in 1 year. You gotta speak right now, at least with basic conversation, at least with basic vocabulary for traveling, or at least with basic Argentinian Spanish. So that's why in my personal experience and the experience of all my students that I have met and that I have had, they all had exactly the same type of problem as me. Because this is a language. Everyone has exactly the same type of problem. So you must find one of these 3 options, and most importantly, a teacher, a method, or someone who can actually help you with that, makes everything much faster, and you don't have to waste time on stupid things. You don't have to waste time on things that you don't understand because the grammar is too complicated and you have to study everything until you find the best way for you, until you find the correct way. So I think that's too much time to waste. And if you are someone who is busy, someone who has a life, who's working in a business here in Argentina, you don't have that time to spend, to waste on something that you could do much faster if you had a teacher or someone who can actually help you with this in a professional way. Now, once you have this guide, one of these three options: the teacher, the online course, and the book. Once you have this, you have all the boxes right there. Now, what should you focus on in these things and this stuff? So here we have two very important things, but one is more important than the other. The first is grammar and the second is vocabulary. So you may be thinking that it is exactly the same type of problem. You're having the same type of problem with both. But the truth is that it is not. Why? Because if you know a lot of grammar, it is not useful at all. Because you're here in Argentina and you would like to say, I need help, someone have stolen something from me. How can you say that if you don't have the vocabulary, or at least if you can say it in a rudimentary way, but as you have only just studied grammar, you know how to make questions, you know the structure of past tense, you know the structure of subjunctive, of the reflexive verbs and whatever else, but you just don't know how to say still, or you just don't know I have been. So you have to focus a lot on vocabulary. Vocabulary is the most important thing for real life, okay? It doesn't matter if you're speaking like in a rudimentary way, because here what you need is to start having a good communication. If you have a perfect grammar, good for you. But if you're here in Argentina, you gotta say, I need something, I need help, I need to go this, where is this? And you only know grammar, but you don't know how to say help, you don't know how to say where, you don't know how to say I am. I'm sorry to tell you this, but you will be much more problems if you know a lot of grammar rather than if you know a lot of vocabulary and less grammar. So if you have to choose what to do first, grammar or vocabulary, you have to study both, okay? But the most important thing, and will be always the most important thing, is vocabulary. Why? For the simple reason that you have to speak. For the simple reason that if you don't know how to say help, if you don't know how to say phone, if you don't know how to say department and stuff like that, you will not be able to communicate with anyone, okay? So you have to keep in mind, these two things are very important, but the most important one, as you are someone who is a traveler, someone who is traveling here in Argentina, doesn't know any single word in Spanish, you just have to focus on vocabulary most of the time. Now, once you understand this, the first point, now we have to continue with the second point. The second point is to focus on the important things. What are the important things? Well, you already know that you have to focus on vocabulary. Now, the question is, what kind of vocabulary? In what thing should you focus first? So in vocabulary, we have two sides, okay? Two sides. One is the important things for a traveler and the non-important things for a traveler. What are the important things for a traveler? How to say towel, how to say where, how to say I go, I work, I need, I am, you are, etc. Words that are specifically for a trip, words that are specifically for someone who's traveling here. And then we have the words that are not that important or are basically not important at all because you wouldn't use it in real life context. For example, how to talk about politics, how to talk about economy, how to talk about science and stuff like that. Like if you know how to say brother-in-law, sister-in-law or stuff like that, yeah, I mean, amazing. Suegro, suegra, amazing. You know that in Spanish. But then if you go out and you have to speak with people in real life, what can you do with that word? It doesn't make sense. So you must focus on this side, the side of vocabulary for traveling. And then the second most important thing to focus on the vocabulary is Argentinian Spanish. Why? Because here in Argentina, we do not use normal words. We do not use common words. So you have to learn Argentinian Spanish and vocabulary for traveling at the same time. Why? As I just told you, in Argentina, we do not use normal words. We do not use common words. And those words that we normally use in Latin America and Spain, etc., that are used in traveling context, in trips and travels, they are not used here in Argentina because we have our own vocabulary, we have our own dialect that we always use. So if you say, for example, bus, I would like to take the bus, quiero tomar el bus, in Argentina, nobody's gonna understand that because nobody here says bus or bus. We say colectivo or bondi. Or for example, if you say, I pay with money, I pay with banknotes, you wouldn't say, yo pago con dinero, yo pago con billetes. We would say instead, yo pago con plata, yo pago con billetes. Okay, so as you can see, we have different pronunciation, we have different words, we have different vocabulary, we have everything is different in Argentinian Spanish, even the grammar. So if you will be here, or you are here right now, you have to keep in mind two things that I've just taught you in this video. Let's do a short review. First, you have to have a guide where you can learn all the basics. How can you do that? Well, you have three options. The options I recommend you the most. One is books with all the basics in Spanish. The purpose of working with books, with basic grammar and all this type of introduction is that you have to do self-studying. Okay, you have to self-study. To take the books, for example, a book with all the basics, you have my book, Mini Stories to Learn Spanish, Beginner's Guide. You also have it in the description. You can work with it. Then, the second, online courses of Spanish, online courses of Argentinian Spanish. You have it, for example, here on this channel, Spanish with Nico. You will also have in the description a link where I have made a playlist with all my videos for Spanish for beginners, from 0 to an advanced level. So you can work with it as well. It is on the description too. And the third is finding a teacher. You have to find someone who can actually help you, and it makes everything much faster. And I think it is the most important thing of all, and it is mandatory. You have to have it. It doesn't matter if you choose a tutor. It doesn't matter if you go to group lessons. It doesn't matter. You just gotta have it because that's the fastest way possible. You don't have experience learning languages before. I think that it is the most important thing of all. And then the second step is to focus on important things. You know that grammar and vocabulary are two things that are very important. But as you are an Argentinian right now, you gotta speak. So if you know grammar, if you know how to make sentence on subjunctive and how to make the hardest sentences in Spanish, okay, fine for you. But that's not gonna be useful here in Argentina because you have to speak right now. So the most important thing of all is to focus on vocabulary. Now, once you know that you have to focus most of the time on your vocabulary, you have to know that there are two sides on this vocabulary. One side, the useful for traveling, and the other side is the not useful for traveling. The useful for traveling, you have to speak on vocabulary specifically for traveling. For example, how to say I go, where, towel, brush teeth, telephone, call someone, help, etc. And you have to learn Argentinian Spanish. Why? Because here in Argentina, we speak Argentinian Spanish. We do not speak normal Spanish. We have our own dialect. So if you have to focus on these two things at the same time, if you would like to speak Spanish as fast as possible. So once you have followed all of these steps, you will be very successful here in Argentina. You will also learn Spanish very quickly too. So if you are here in Argentina right now and you would like to take the fastest way possible to learn Argentinian Spanish and to start having your new business here, or just casual trips because you travel a lot here in Latin America and you would like to learn Argentinian Spanish and Spanish in specific. With my program, Spanish Mindset, you can do it. You can learn Spanish with me in 4 months. It is specifically for travelers, casual travelers, and would like to learn Spanish for traveling, and Argentinian Spanish in specific. On the other hand, if you will be a new resident here, you will start a business here, or you will start a new life here, you can learn Spanish with me for 8 months with another program that I have, which is specifically for learning everything in Spanish, all the basics and everything that you need to start a new life in Argentina. And if you are already here in Argentina right now and you would like to learn Argentinian Spanish as fast as possible because you have to live in 1 month or in 2, you can learn Spanish with me the most intensive way that you can ever imagine. That means we are going to work every day for a month, and after just 1 month, you will have a basic Spanish just for traveling here in Argentina. So if you would like to know more, in the description you will find much more information. So I hope that you have liked this video. Please tell me what you think of this, and if you need any help, you can write it on the comments. You can watch all my videos and where I teach Spanish and where I teach Argentinian Spanish. This channel is for people that would like to start a new life here, that would like to start a new business here, that or maybe that just want to travel here. So I hope that you have liked this video. Thank you very much for watching this, and nos vemos en otro video. Ciao, ciao! Thanks for watching this video. If you are a beginner and you want to learn Spanish, my book, Mini Stories to Learn Spanish Beginner's Guide, is available on Amazon. If you are looking to learn Spanish to visit Argentina with my program, you can do it. All the details are in the description. Thanks for watching.